control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah. Remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media.
I was wondering who did that. Thanks.
Ain't nothing to it. A baby could do it.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
I'm a human being, god damn it! My life has value! It's time to ask yourself what you believe.
Mass murder, torture, perjury, embezzlement, fraud, deception, treason. These are just a few of your many crimes against humanity. You will not win this war, for you are fighting the very essence of humanity.
We make this judgment affirmatively. It will be an entire nation.
Are you feeling helpless in the face of globalist havoc? Do you feel powerless against their sadistic shenanigans? Well, don't despair, because Truth or Talk is here to equip you with the empowering information you need to regain control of your life. Our mission is to provide you with thought-provoking and humorous commentary on issues that matter the most. We have no sacred cow to defend, nor corporate doctrines to promote. Since 2012, Truth or Talk has produced over 100 podcasts featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in independent media, activism, and truth-seeking. Despite being deplatformed and shadow banned from several social media channels in 2022, we are committed to rebuilding. However, we need your support to help keep the truth flowing. You can show your appreciation by purchasing our t-shirts, making a donation, or becoming an ongoing subscriber to our exclusive member section. With your help, we can keep exposing lies, shedding light on the truth, and providing you with the compelling information you need to take back your freedom, sanity, and break free from the shackles of control. But that's not all. You can also help spread the word by sharing our content on social media with your friends and family. Our collective efforts can prevent them from achieving their goal. Show your support for Truth or Talk today and take back control of your life. Trust us, you won't regret it. Thank you. Until next time, peace, truth, and love. Most people think of the modern medical industry as well-meaning and good.
In every U.S. city and town, there is one house that everybody knows, the doctor's. Available here are the services of the man who, by law, is privileged to practice the most respected of all professions. To today's 165,000 men of medicine has come a vital trust to heal the sick and keep the healthy well. And to the nation's 69 schools of medicine is entrusted the responsibility of passing on unbroken the inheritance of medical knowledge, of indoctrinating each young student with the traditions and ethics of his chosen profession. Here he must spend 4 long years. Here he must learn every physical detail, every living function of the human body. He must master the science of chemistry and biology. He must train his mind to grasp and make use of the accumulated knowledge of 20 centuries of medical research. And with his degree, Doctor of Medicine, he takes for himself the age-old oath of his profession, the oath of Hippocrates.
Whatsoever house I enter, there will I go for the benefit of the sick. And whatsoever I see or hear, I will keep silent thereon, counting such things to be as sacred secrets.
Jerusalema, ikhaya lami, ilondoloze, uhambe nami, zungangishilana. Jerusalema, ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana.
As you can see, it's empty as hell.
No one's in there, guys.
It's absolutely dead.
Il y a personne, regardez, on peut aller fouiller dans les couloirs, on peut faire absolument ce qu'on veut. Je comprends pas.
Not many people were in there at all.
We've just been locked down in Gloucestershire for an empty hospital. Look, I am so angry.
So there's nobody even in there? Nobody's in the hospital. How is that possible in a medical pandemic?
That's fake news.
The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel.
People who are not getting vaccines, who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind.
Please, there's so many of us that need help.
Pfizer, Bay Area, California.
Moderna, Connecticut.
Arizona, Johnson & Johnson.
Moderna, New Hampshire. We want to be heard.
I want to be heard.
We listened, so we believed that this vaccine was the right thing to do. So please, trust us and listen to us.
But I hope that our conditions will be researched and studied. I hope that we can find a solution and a pathway to health. That's all we want. I would give anything. I would give my whole life savings if I could go back to January 17th and never to have had to experience this in my life.
People's faith in the modern medical industry is quickly declining, and it looks like the question that people want answered is, how did the medical industry transform into a force that doesn't have our best interest at heart and is something to be feared and mistrusted?
The answer to this question may be found in some historic events that took place almost a century ago, when official medicine finally managed to gain the upper hand on the so-called empirical doctors, who cured patients with herbs and natural remedies.
In the 1800s, society sanctioned both approaches to healing. Patients had a choice of using either doctors, called allopaths, or natural healers, called empirics or homeopaths. The two groups waged a bitter philosophical debate. The allopathic doctors called their approach heroic medicine. They believed the physician must aggressively drive disease from the body. They based their practice on what they considered scientific theory. The allopaths used three main techniques. They bled the body to drain out the bad humors. They gave huge doses of toxic minerals like mercury and lead to displace the original disease. They also used surgery, but it was a brutal procedure before anesthesia and infection control. Few patients were willing to have surgery. Most patients feared allopathic methods altogether. Satirists of the day remarked that with allopathic treatment, the patient died of the cure. Competing with the doctors were the empiric healers. Contrary to the doctors, they believed in stimulating the body's own defenses to heal itself. Instead of poisonous minerals, they used vegetable products and non-toxic substances in small quantities. They especially favored herbs learned from Native American and old European traditions. The empirics said they based their remedies not on theory, but on observation and experience. Satirists of the day added that with empiric treatment, the patient died of the disease, not the cure. And the balance of medical power remained equal until the turn of the century. Then, new medical treatments emerged that were potentially very profitable. The AMA joined with strong financial forces to transform medicine into an industry. The fortunes of Carnegie, Morgan, and Rockefeller financed surgery, radiation, and synthetic drugs. They were to become the economic foundations of the new medical economy.
The takeover of the medical industry was accomplished by the takeover of the medical schools. Well, the people that we're talking about, Rockefeller and Carnegie in particular, came to the picture and said, we will put up money. They offered tremendous amounts of money to the schools that would agree to cooperate with them. The donors said to the schools, we're giving you all this money. Now, would it be too much to ask if we could put some of our people on your board of directors to see that our money is being spent wisely? Almost overnight, all of the major universities received large grants from these sources and also accepted 1, 2, or 3 of these people that I mentioned on their board of directors, and the schools literally were taken over by the financial interests that put up the money. Now, what happened as a result of that is that the schools did receive an infusion of money. They were able to build new buildings. They were able to add expensive equipment to their laboratories. They were able to hire top-notch teachers. But at the same time as doing that, they skewed the whole thing in the direction of pharmaceutical drugs. That was the efficiency in philanthropy. The doctors from that point forward in history would be taught pharmaceutical drugs. All of the great teaching institutions in America were captured by the pharmaceutical interests in this fashion. And it's amazing how little money it really took to do it.
Welcome to Truth or Talk. Today's guest is Dr. Scott Whittaker. Dr. Scott Whittaker, author of the book Medicine, is a board-certified naturopathic doctor with over 20 years of experience in herbology, iridology, homeopathy, natural healing, and detoxification. A Southern California native, Dr. Whittaker grew up in the infamous South Central area of Los Angeles. With strong parental guidance as his anchor, he escaped the call of the streets and received his undergraduate degree from the University of California, Berkeley in civil engineering. During his time at Berkeley, he became interested in holistic medicine and drew a connection between holistic living and long-term health. After graduation, he found himself working in the engineering field in St. Louis, Missouri. He enrolled in the Keller Graduate School of Management, where he earned his MBA. But his interest in holistic medicine was far from satiated. Determined to get all of the information he could, he obtained his Doctorate of Naturopathy from the International School of Naturopathy in Los Altos, California. Armed with the resources he needed, Dr. Whittaker vowed to spread the truth about prescription medications and bring the message of holistic lifestyles as a means of obtaining long-term good health to people everywhere. Hello guys, what's going on? I have Scott Whittaker, co-author of the book Medicine, here with me today. Hello Scott, how are you?
I'm outstanding. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm outstanding too, I guess.
Good.
That's a good way to put it.
That's
So
right.
I want to say when I was reading your book,
Okay.
I was screaming. I was like, like black
Yeah.
people like talk back to the television. I was like talking back to the book, like, yes, yes. And then
All
my
right.
boyfriend my boyfriend was like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm reading a book. But
That's right. I appreciate it.
yeah, well, I mean, this book is great and it covers so much. And I have notes all through this book. And it was so hard for me to kind of narrow questions down, because I only have about an hour, 45 minutes, but I mean, it's definitely my personal experience with the medical industry, how they set us up for failure. And I'm curious what your journey was to figuring this out. Were you somebody that was just born knowing this? Was your family aware? Did you go to medical school and to be a doctor and found out that way? Were you injured yourself? So tell us a little bit about your journey, why you decided to write this book, and how you
Yes.
came to these
Yes.
conclusions.
Yes. Well, medicine, it's a culmination of about 14 years of research. Since I was in grade school, St. Francis Cabrini, up there on Imperial in Normandy.
Oh shit.
I did my childhood. From that time on, my dad used to always give me vitamins and minerals in the morning before going to school. And I didn't know what they were. So I took them. And then at the end of from K to 8 at the 8th grade, I got a perfect attendance award. I was never sick. Then I go to high school, St. Bernard's High School, Playa del Rey. And from 9th to 12th, I'm never getting sick. Perfect attendance award. So you know, it clicked. And then when I got to college, uh, I met a Seminole Indian on campus. I went to UC Berkeley, and he told me never take the gringo's medicine. And he said use echinacea and golden seal. I was like, what is he talking about? So I went to the library that night, got a book called Back to Eden. It's one of the greatest Arab books ever written. And you put that one in your library if you don't have it. Back to Eden, written by a Amish doctor. And I read about golden seal and echinacea. And the next day, I went to the herb store and bought it. And from then, I was just using the teas on myself, basically making myself the lab rat and trying the different herbs on myself to see the outcomes.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about my dad giving me the vitamins and minerals in the morning. And it all just clicked. But at the time, I was pursuing engineering in school. So I continued with my engineering, but at the same time doing pre-med. So when I finished engineering, I went to the International School of Naturopathy and got my ND in naturopathic medicine. So I have both an engineering degree and a naturopathic medicine degree. And from there, I just started helping friends and family. And then I started watching people improve. I started reminiscing on my grandmother and grandfather on how I used to go visit them, and they had bottles laying next to their bed of just drugs and pills. And I remember one day looking at my mom and saying, how come grandma can't get well? And I'm thinking she's taking all this, nonsense. How come she can't get well? It didn't make sense.
Mm.
And from there, the lights were on. I was reading everything that had to do with nutrition and medicine. And also at the same time, learning how deceitful and evil and wicked this medical system is, and how it's basically a medicine, where the medicine came from. And then later on, in the early 90s, I met a female who I was interested in. And she called me one day and she said, I don't feel good. And I said, she was in New Orleans. I said, okay, well, just go on and go get tested, whatever you think you need to get tested for. And when you get the diagnosis, we'll come back and deal with it naturally. And that was on a Monday. I didn't hear from her on Tuesday. I didn't hear from her on Wednesday. And I called the house saying what's going on Thursday. And her dad answered the phone and said she was dead. So
what?
Yeah, so I knew they had murdered her. Says she died of leukemia in 3 days. Get out of here.
Chemotherapy.
So
was it the chemotherapy?
I don't know what they gave her. I'm sure it was a concoction of poisons.
Yeah.
But from that, I said, dang, well, I can't go into the hospitals and do a John Q, right?
Yeah.
So I said, the pen is mightier than the sword. So I said, I'm gonna put this in a book, document everything, and expose this system as hard as I can, and at the same time give solutions to the situations that we're in, and things that I saw that were coming, like the last 3 years that we've been dealing with. I saw that. I wrote that in the book in the epilogue that they were going to do this.
Yeah.
And then that's basically it in a nutshell. So from there, I've been to 17 countries all over the world, learning in Africa, Asia, Europe, learning those healers there, and bringing that back here to the States and applying it. So that's me in a little nutshell.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I really find that a lot of people, I think that the situation you have with your friend that you were interested in is definitely deep and profound, but I think that a lot of people are personally injured themselves before they wake up to how evil the medical industry is. And it's fascinating to me that you just met somebody and they told you to read Back to Eden, and then you started just observing and you figured it out that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Quick. I'm a person who I'm quiet, so I listen a lot, observe, and I could just see. I remember going in college, going to the Kaiser. I remember going to Kaiser in '88, and record that date, '88, and I went in for a so-called physical, and when I was done with it, the doctor came out, black guy too, and he said, I can't find anything wrong with you. Next time you come here, you need to be sick before you come here. That's what he told me. He said, you need to be sick before you come here.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you guys really do not care about the health of the people. That's why they call it Kaiser Permanente, because if
They
you
want
go
you to be.
in, you might not make it out because they'll permanently kill you. So um,
Yeah.
that's why I said 1988 was the last time I've seen a medical doctor.
Wow. Well, it's also interesting to me that you went to Berkeley and you chose the path of how do you say it? Naturopathy or naturopathy?
That was good.
Naturopath?
Naturopathy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Naturopathy. Because I have some family members that are at Berkeley, and I know people that are there, and there are strict cult members of the allopaths. They believe
Okay.
they're in the cult of allopathy right now. And
Okay.
there's nothing I can say. I've been trying to warn them 10 years
Right.
because just like you, even before I read this book, because in my experience, I saw that I knew that they were going to do some kind of a worldwide false flag.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started my podcast in 2012 and with my best
Wow.
friend. Yeah. And we were seeing what was going on with vaccines. I was a teacher at the time. I almost became a special ed teacher. My best friend's son was ruined or brain damaged by vaccines, and I saw that happen with my own eyes. And then, while I was being working as a long-term sub in special ed, I would hear the parents in Spanish talking about vaccines and how they thought that it brain damaged their kid, but it kind of went over my head, and I never stopped to ask questions before it happened to my best friend. And I just saw that they were making all these these fake measles outbreaks. And as more people were waking up and trying to speak out against vaccine injury, they kept making all these, they had like what do you call a whooping cough outbreak. But when you did the deep digging, you found out that everybody that had the whooping cough was vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then
Same with the measles thing they're
and the
doing right
measles, they
now.
always do measles,
Yeah.
and I found this study in China in Zhejiang, which is like a coastal city off the off of Hong Kong by Hong Kong, over 1 million people, 99% vaccination rate. And within, I think between 2009 and 2012, they had 700 measles outbreaks. So I knew that the herd immunity thing is just
Right.
BS,
Right. Right.
So but I see them saying, oh, the measles. And then since when did measles become so deadly and crazy?
Right.
And then they can't produce a picture. They never have any pictures. They have to doctor pictures up and make stuff. And it's just through
Right.
the media. There's no proof of it. There's no
Yeah.
proof that it's
Right.
ridiculous. But I'm
Oh
seeing how
yeah.
people are buying into the fear, and I'm seeing how they're amping it up. And then I saw um Healthy People 2020. I think it's linked somehow to Codex Alimentarius. I'm going to have you talk about that, but how they were basically saying that they wanted everybody, health adults, vaccinated by 2030. That was part of their healthy. So I'm like, okay, so how are they going to bring this about? They're going to create some kind of worldwide event. We didn't know when or how, but a lot of my friends in the health freedom community saw something like Corona coming. And I want to talk about, you made a really good point in your book when you were talking about Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, and how how it was kind of used to program people. So could you kind of talk about that and I think this is even before your time too, right? The War of the Worlds happened, but you probably a little bit more familiar than me about it. But could you kind of tell them how that ties into the programming of people with COVID? Because I thought that was a really good
Right.
point
Well,
you bring up in your
it
book.
was it was a show back then, and
Was it a radio show or was
that was
it?
like a movie. It was like a
Okay.
movie, and supposedly the world's are gonna have this big cataclysm and things are gonna blow up. It had everybody just scared. And of course, there was no proof of it at all. And it was just a hype and the social engineering and the mind warping that they were doing at that time. And you could just see how they've used that for the last 100 years to basically disable the people through mind manipulation. Uh, I mean, they did the same thing with the swine flu back in the 70s.
That's right.
Same, this is the same. It was the same scenario. They took old Gerald Ford and brought him out in front of the cameras, had him act like he was getting a shot, and he was getting no shot.
Yeah.
And they had the whole thing running, and then about 25 people died right when they started the vaccinations, and they stopped the program.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it was too obvious back then. And I think,
obvious.
But now I think people have been so programmed with science fiction movies, and the program is so deep that people can't even use their common sense to put two and two together, because we've been so brainwashed to believe that vaccines are like, our saviors, like Jesus, like, like it's a religion. But from the time we're born, they vaccinate babies, they vaccinate pregnant mothers, and you're watching movies on, or you're watching, Sesame Street, and they're having skits telling kids that it's good to get vaccinated. And even, when I was a teacher, I would watch some of the cartoons that my kids watched and stuff. And I remember my heart broke. They did like the Magic School Bus making fun of anti-vaxxers. It was like, no, not the Magic School Bus, but they're putting it in cartoons. And as I'm waking up to this as a teacher, I'm seeing the propaganda in the school books, in the cartoons, in the movies. Then you graduate to science fiction films, and then you like World War Z or like Invasion. The hero of the day is always the vaccine. So we've been trained to think that it's been this great discovery, but it's really been a Trojan horse to break us down from the inside, because it seems like that's how we are built, from my research, my experience, that we have to get broken down from the inside in order for other stuff in the environment to really affect us. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah. They figure we'll give them so much genetic food and see how they do. We know we can get them back into your offices by the food, because we'll break them down with diabetes, heart disease, the cancers and all that, but the people still living, people still surviving.
Yeah.
So they said, well, dang, it's the one way we can do it is put it directly into their bloodstream, through inoculations. And God God only knows what all was in those things. We know a couple of things that were in there, the graphene oxides and the chips and things like that made from the Neuralinks and all that, masked all in together. So they put it in the bloodstream, which bypasses the way the body interacts with poisons and toxins. When it goes through our mouth, nose, we breathe it. We have things in our immune system that automatically go out and start protecting us. When we go directly into the stream, you bypassing our little barriers that the creator put up to protect us from these things. So I was overseas when this whole thing went down.
So you were saying that you were in Arabia?
Yeah, I was in Arabia when all this nonsense got started.
So how did they act over there? Were they buying
it?
They
took it right in, because whatever the US does and says, they follow it.
Wait, Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Like UAE? Were you in United Arab Emirates?
Saudi.
Or? Okay.
Yeah. The Arabian Peninsula is the correct name for it.
Okay.
Because Saudi is actually the name of a guy. They named it after. There's only 2 countries in the world named after people, and that's the Philippines and Saudi.
Okay.
So they took it in. They were, had everybody 6 feet and 20 feet and 30 feet, and which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like a virus knows distance. But
yeah. The virus knows when you're eating too, so it
knows when you're eating.
Doesn't
exactly.
it's real polite.
you stand at the restaurant and then you have your diaper on and they say, okay, come sit down. And then
Yeah.
you take the diaper off, and then now I guess the virus waits for you at the door. I guess I don't know, but so when I saw it go down in Saudi, and I knew I was coming back because they killed all the contracts there and said send everybody home. And I said I know Americans ain't gonna go for this. You know, man. When I got off that plane, I couldn't believe it. I said, whoa.
Yeah.
Everybody's walking around with the diapers on
Yeah.
and scared. Nobody wanted to hug and give handshakes. And
Yeah.
I was blown away. And
Yeah. I
it was
couldn't.
amazing.
I was with you. I mean, interestingly enough, at the time I was a hospital courier.
Oh my God.
So I got fired because I wouldn't wear a mask. And I have asthma. And the first, month or so, I was just thinking, okay, people are just freaking out, but it's not a big deal. And by the way, the hospitals were empty, and they were turning people away.
Right.
And I was trying to compromise, and I had a mask on, and I would put it on like here, but I would let my nose hang out. And then as soon as I got through the door, I would take it off and they would get mad. I was just like, you guys are ridiculous. So I actually recorded my last day there because I knew I have that on video because I knew that they were going to get fired. They were going to fire me because I was just like, I'm not an animal. I can't breathe anyway. These fibers are bad. I know my triggers as an asthmatic. So I knew that those masks have those fibers in it and that they were bad for my health, but they didn't care. But they act like they care. They didn't care.
Right.
They act like they're so virtuous and they care about people. Like they didn't care about handicapped people or deaf people or trauma victims that they made wear the masks. But it's the hypocrisy was just mind-blowing. And just like you, I would call it my best friend every day and just be like, can you believe, are we in a dream? Is this stuff going on? Like, he can't believe that people. And my cousin was like, if the crackheads are alive in 14 days, I'm going outside. Because she she was like, this is so ridiculous. I can't believe it.
Oh yeah.
But it's ignorance and fear. And I think a lot of why people fell for this was because of the brainwashing and the programming of germ theory. And would you talk a little bit about that? Because I was glad to see that in your book, Germ Theory versus Terrain Theory.
Right. Actually, that's my favorite chapter of the book.
All right, break down.
But the germ theory of disease. It just grabs the people. Even today, you'll still see people spraying that stuff in their hands and sanitizer, which contains triclosan, which causes cancer.
Yes,
and,
I didn't do that either. I had my own soap I brought with me because I'm just like, no. I'm sorry. I know I told you to break it down. So could you oh no, go on.
Well, we're around your whole environment right now. As you're sitting, there's bacteria latching onto you and touching you, and you can't see them. And then you breathe them in. Your immune system does what it's supposed to do, and you go about your way. And the disease, majority of our diseases are mineral deficiencies, and of course environmental toxins. And then you tie that around with a ribbon with emotions, and then there's your problem. So there's no germ or bacteria that causes anything. These things are actually there as part of our own environment. It's just like you have a trash can, got trash in it, and you leave it 7 days covered. You go back and you may see lice. Where'd they come from? Did they open up the lid and hop in there? No, they were already part of that environment. It's just that finally they're being released from the stuff that's decomposing whatever's in the trash can. And they are doing their part in nature, which is eating up waste. That's what they do. And they have related that part as causing the disease. It's totally wacky. Just the same thing they do with cholesterol. When they look at the artery of the person and they see cholesterol inside the lining, they said, well, that caused, the clogging of the artery. No, the problem was the person probably was about to have an aneurysm, and the cholesterol went to that location and healed it, and it almost forms like a scar tissue there on the artery. So cholesterol is your friend. We try to get as much cholesterol as we can get, and the higher your cholesterol, the longer you live.
So I have a question then. What causes the cholesterol to go to that area? Isn't there like an abundance of cholesterol maybe that shouldn't be there, and that's what causes it, but there's something that causes the cholesterol? Like how?
Well, usually it's from the body signals, oh, we got a problem here in this artery over here on this left side. And if we don't get to it, this person's about to have a either a heart attack, stroke, aneurysm. So the body, the liver makes cholesterol and sends it out into the body. The brain sends it to the artery and makes the healing. And that's what it does. It's a healer, cholesterol is.
Well, what
And,
causes the aneurysm or the heart attack?
aneurysms are copper deficiency.
Huh.
Remember
Okay.
I'm saying earlier that most of your diseases are mineral deficiencies.
Yeah.
Diabetes is chromium, heart disease is magnesium, aneurysms is copper, cancer is selenium, um, thyroid issues is iodine. I mean, you can just go on and on about the minerals, because we come from the soil, and that's where our minerals are from. And um, and then you throw in the pesticides, herbicides, and all that on top of the mineral deficiencies, and you really got a problem then. Making havoc in the body.
So it seems like we're being set up for failure. They're telling us the wrong foods to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have these environmental toxins that are depleting our minerals and vitamins. And then they're also giving us drugs that are depleting our minerals and vitamins, and vaccines. So all of these things together, I mean, we're being poisoned and set up from every direction. The one thing that does give me faith is that we seem like we're pretty hard to kill, because when you look at how we're being poisoned from every direction, it seems like we should be dead already.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
They gave us all this genetic food. They spray us with the pesticides, and they said, well, we can get them directly in the bloodstream.
Yeah.
That's where the jabs came from.
Yeah, and that's why they're so adamant, because I think, everybody has some form of contamination, but why the vaccinated are dying and getting long COVID or whatever you want to call it, or heart disease or turbo cancers, is because it's in their bloodstream. And it seems like the body, we're not made to, we're made to, when we encounter toxins through our mouth or nose, our ears, or skin, to be able to get them out that way. But anything that's injected into our body under our skin, it needs help getting out. Right?
Exactly.
That's it doesn't naturally. So if it doesn't get out, it forms cancers or goes to other organs, and it causes diseases. Like the toxins are accumulating.
Exactly.
That, it's like, I'm curious, what have you, do you see any relationship to, this is kind of like my analysis, but I'm just curious as to what you think about parasites and toxins. Do parasites feed on toxins that are in our body?
The parasites feed on basically, they like to take your nutrients. Okay, so I want to say like most of them will be in our gut. Most of your parasites is in this gut issue, and then you get some in your head too. But they feed on our waste, our nutrients, and they're there to do the clean. That's why they call it a parasite. They're takers, and so they want to make sure that you're the host and they can feed off of you. There's this protozoa or worm that comes in pork. Okay, trichinosis worm, and it can't be killed through heat or freezing. And once it's ingested, it just grows into the system, starts laying eggs and growing and breaking down, getting into the joints. People who have severe arthritis and things like that, and they wonder, wow, what's going on? Most of the time, that's the parasites in the joints. And so they're there because they're part of the environment. They're there, so well, hey, we can get into these joints and we can eat here and lay eggs and not have to worry about it. And we keep getting more pork in our system, and so they enjoying it.
You're
So
like, sweet.
yeah,
This is the
yeah,
life.
yeah. And then they make you crave sugar because they love sugar, and that's just that's how it keeps going. You know, the parasites.
So could you get rid of the trichinosis worms?
You can get rid of them. You gotta use the oil of turpentine.
Okay.
Yeah, turpentine is actually in the Merck manual. The first edition of the Merck manual of 1899 said turpentine was a cure for all disease. The next edition took turpentine out and put antibiotics. So
oh, they're so evil. I've actually done the turpentine cleanse. I got really tired. I was really tired, but I did you don't want to know what came out of me. It was like a horror movie. I couldn't believe it.
Oh yeah.
And then I also did like a what do you call? I did like a on top of that an ACV enema because of the biofilm.
Okay.
Right? Because they like kind of hang on, they kind of make these little I don't know, pods or whatever in the biofilm.
It forms a shield.
Yes, like a shield. So yeah, it was it was interesting. And I don't eat pork anymore.
Thank
But
God.
I love bacon though. It's really hard. It's really
Get some
hard.
beef bacon.
Beef bacon?
Oh yes. You'll never even think about the other stuff anymore.
There's beef bacon?
Oh my God. I'll send it to you.
Okay, yes, I would like some beef bacon. And
it's off the chain.
Turkey bacon isn't as good as
it's a little dry.
Yeah, and it's not as fatty.
The beef bacon gives you that fat and that what you're looking for. And I'm telling you, every Saturday I have mine.
Beef bacon, okay. Well, you know, I had another a side question. I actually, by suggestion or book, I actually got the Willard water. But how do you use that? I think like if I'm drinking a half a gallon of water a day, I'll do like a capful.
Yeah, capful. That's all.
Really, for like half a gallon, pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go back and look up, it was an old 60 Minutes thing they did.
I watched that. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy, I saw the guy. There was a guy that he had this gnarly burn on his leg.
Yeah.
And it looked like his leg was about to fall off. Like, I'm not kidding you guys. It was awful.
Right.
It was awful. And they kept visiting him and he kept spraying the water. And then within a few weeks, it had like started getting better.
Hey.
Yeah. You type
they
in
they don't even talk about Willard water now.
Yeah.
All you hear about is alkaline and all that. That's Willard water. That's all it is. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I never heard of it until your book. And I'm always like a health food junkie. I'm always wanting to try new things and see what works. So I got some, and I'm a little bit sidetracking. I'm just curious because I had this on my list of questions to ask you. When you went to naturopath school, what did they teach you about vaccines? What did naturopaths learn about vaccines?
Oh, well, we know that injecting something directly into your bloodstream is very dangerous, especially when it's a toxic product. Of course, in naturopathic school, we don't do any drugs, vaccinations. There is a part of so-called surgeries that they do, which they're starting to get more into the Western medicine, which I'm kind of a little leery of.
Yeah.
But the traditional naturopath does no drugs, no vaccines, nothing of that sort.
It's really non-invasive, right? That's kind of like the philosophy.
No invasive. That's why we recommend thermography for the women for instead of mammograms.
Yeah.
The non-invasive infrared.
Because mammograms cause cancer, you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how the evil they are. They're like, get this scan to see if you have cancer, but we're gonna give you cancer, or we're
100%.
giving you or making sure that you don't have cancer.
Exactly. And then for the men, the PSA is a total scam. Uh, they're trying to take it's a book out called Prostate Snatchers. And basically trying to get them as they try to take the woman's female parts, they try to take the man's parts too. So, they love cutting, burning,
Poison.
and poisoning.
Poison, cut, burn, yeah. That's what they do. And well, I saw, is another thing that I came across was the fact that the average age of as of this time when you wrote the book, maybe it's changed now, but you wrote the average
It's
age.
probably less.
Yeah, well, the average age of an American that American lives to is about 68 years, while the average age of an MD lives to about 58 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 10-year difference. Doctors are living less than their patients.
Right.
And, so I have an idea about why that is, but what is your take on that? Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Most of it is, when I did go to see a MD, misdirected, you can see that this was not a healthy person. You would think doctors, MD, should be the most healthiest people in the country, without question.
Yeah.
And some of them, oh my God, I mean, disgusting the way they look. And so you got poor nutrition. Then I believe you reap what you sow by knowingly giving out poisons to your clients or your patients and feeding off that to feed your pockets. And that breaks down your thymus gland and starts destroying you from the inside. And it's just it's a lot of guilt. That's what I feel.
But do you think that a lot of doctors are true believers? Like a lot of doctors, they believe their own BS. They believe, a lot of doctors are dead because they took the COVID vaccine. A lot of doctors actually they don't come out, but, and talk about it, but there are a few doctors I remember, like Natasha Campbell McBride, and her son was injured by vaccines. They're doctors that believed in it. I know that there was it was a doctor during the polio era that vaccinated his grandson. I can't think of his name, but he got polio. He got injured from the vaccine. So there are a lot of doctors too. I don't know how we would determine what the percentages of doctors that actually know that they're doing wrong, and doctors that are they're maybe too prideful to admit that they're wrong, and they believe their own BS.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of them are victims too.
Well, I called the scam. I said the virus was the media.
Yeah,
And the pandemic was doctor denial, because those doctors sat on their butts and didn't say a word. They knew this was nonsense what they were saying, and a lot of them were just worried about keeping their licenses and of course feeding their face. So
it's very true. And a lot of them, they don't get to be heroes anymore.
No.
Not that they really were in the first place, but I mean, they, they're the cowards. Like, you don't get to call yourself a doctor. I don't care how many degrees you have or how long you go to school. If you're unwittingly killing people and then don't have the humility to listen to your patients, and but you want to be called a hero? No, you're a coward, and you're an accessory to murder. That's what you really are.
You 100%. Just like that weasel looking Fauci guy. I've never called him doctor. No way he deserves a title of a teacher. And he has to walk with bodyguards now.
Oh, good. He does.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Great. Yeah. He's he's been killing people since at least HIV, maybe before. Like
Well,
he's been at it.
he's been at it since the 80s.
Yeah, these people are killing more. They're like serial killers
Yeah.
on a large scale. They're high adept Satanists, which
Now
is
let me tell you this with the HIV and the COVID. COVID, COVID. Why is it always capitalized? You know, and because
I know. I think I know. Can I say? I think
say
is
it,
a
say it.
certificate of vaccine ID.
Yes, that's what it means.
Yeah.
It's always capitalized. You can even when you put it in a search engine, it will capitalize it for you. It will
Yeah.
never make it lowercase. It's
Yeah.
amazing. But cancer and the rest of the diseases are not capitalized like that.
Yeah.
So, but what I wanted to say was HIV and COVID.
And 9 is supposed to be AI, right? 1 is A and
Yeah,
9 is
yeah. The COVID-19, the 1 is the letter
yeah.
A, 9 is the letter I,
Yeah.
AI, artificial intelligence. Um, HIV and COVID were the same thing.
Yeah.
Only thing they did was take the condom away and added the diaper. That's all they did.
Wow, you're right. And
Think
too,
about
like,
it.
well, because the holes in the condom, they said the virus, they tell you I explain this to my viewers. They tell you the size of the virus for HIV is actually way smaller than the holes of the condom. And it's the
Right,
same thing with the mask, that the
right,
size of the virus is way that they state publicly, the virus, right,
right.
is smaller than the holes in the mask. I'm like, by this big, so the virus can just go
Right,
like that. But it harbors bacteria,
right,
which gives you plaque, which
right,
gets into your arteries, which causes
right.
heart problems. And then they have the vaccine that
Mm-hmm.
adds on top of that. So a lot of people that wore the mask and they're having it messes with your heart, and you getting vaccinated, you're just doubly screwed.
Screw. You see people putting them in their window, was it rear view mirrors, hanging them up. You see people driving in their cars by themselves with them on. I mean,
There's some people they ain't never taking that off. They ain't
oh my
never
God.
ain't coming off. And my I used to try and talk people out of it. And now I just kind of I'm starting to get a little bit selfish. I'm just trying to do me, and I'm just trying to focus on the people that will listen, because it's becoming very tiring. And I'm respectful of people that I see wearing them, but I have an opinion about that.
Oh,
But
I'm
I think a lot of them were traumatized, though. They really did a number, a lot of people. They're still in that under that hypnotic
oh yeah,
spell.
yeah. I'm very I guess I'm very evil, but when I
Well, you've been
see
at it longer than I have, so I think I give you a pass, because
when I
I can
see
imagine how frustrating it must be.
yeah, when I see us wearing those things, I don't even greet them anymore. I don't speak to people who have them on. I just feel you're not worthy of my hello because you're stupid enough to wear that thing. And there's a video, I gotta find it. I think it was a Nigerian brother. He was taking a shower and he had his diaper on, naked, but he had his diaper on.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to, I don't, I kind of thinking about, like, yeah, like I used to be a teacher, and I was a teacher. I'm way younger than I look, by the way, but I was a teacher for about 14 years.
Oh wow.
And
I thought you was 21 or something.
yeah, you can think that, that's cool. But I was a teacher, and I kind of, I think about my kids that you get attached to your kids. The kids, a lot of the kids now, they're adults. Where are they? Did they fall for this? Are they dead? Did they get vaccinated? How
Right,
did they
right, right,
fare?
right.
And there's a kid that's at this art store close to us, and he's about 20. And my boyfriend and I were talking to him, and we're like, My boyfriend actually is nicer than I am about this, by the way. He's just like, he'll talk to just he still will talk. He has more patience than I do now.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just like, you don't have to wear the mask around us. It's okay. And he's like, oh, my sister died. And his eyes got big and he'll just,
Right, right.
just starts freaking out. So
Mm,
they're not going to take it off until the TV tells them to take it off. And a
basically.
lot of people, they also are very righteous. They don't want to believe that they were lied to, that they were duped, because they got a lot of the smarty pants, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, how stupid were the smart people? Pretty dumb, because
Pretty
they
dumb.
didn't use their critical thinking that they claim they always used.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The people that
mean,
I wrote down names. All the so-called entertainers and the athletes that were pushing it, I wrote their
yeah,
names down. I would never let them forget it.
yeah.
Run
Don't, because
DMC.
a lot of them, they're gonna try and act like they didn't. And they're going to try and be like, I was never against that. So just don't
Right.
let them gaslight you.
Oh no. Just like when Chris, what's his name? Chris Rock. Chris Rock. He was promoting it big time. And I said, if I ever see him, I'm gonna slap him. And
They knew. Well, they're down with the cult, so they didn't believe that. So you notice how no A-list celebrities died, right? They got COVID, but they didn't die of COVID,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Only C-list celebrities died.
yeah. Yeah, I
It's
know.
true.
I
It's
know.
true. But I think that anybody, I don't know. I just take it day to day, because sometimes I get mad and I don't want to, have anything to do. And then other days I just think about, wow, those people must really be messed up. I'm very grateful that I didn't get talked into taking the vaccine. Every day I'm very, very, very grateful. I see all the people, and then there's still people they'll die before they admit that they were
Oh
duped.
yeah.
They're like, I got long COVID,
Right.
and
Right.
it's like there's somebody did I'm thinking I might do a more in-depth like article or something on this, but somebody did a compilation. Did you see the compilation of all the YouTubers they had about 20 YouTubers that were pushing the vaccine, and then they
Yeah.
all have cancer now.
Right. Right.
And I went to each one of their channels and I found them, and I'm kind of watching them, because a lot of them, which I think is, I don't know. I would say maybe it's slightly narcissistic, maybe majorly narcissistic, that
Right.
they're putting their progress of their cancer on their channel. They're documenting it every day, and they're just like, well, I went to the doctor and I had like 15 rounds of chemo and my cancer just got worse. And I'm just thinking, yeah, it
Duh.
what, like, and they're just like, I don't know, I'm so young and I have like 60 tumors. I don't know how this happened. I'm just like, how are you not putting two and two together?
Right.
And
Right.
two of the people, one guy I did not feel sorry for, because years ago he made a video basically making fun of parents that were against the vaccine, who had vaccine injured children. He's a science guy. He was interviewed by somebody else who was pushing the vaccine, and they both have cancer now.
Oh wow.
So I'm very conflicted, because there's part of me that should feel sorry for them. And some of these people are young, and I do feel sorry for them, because maybe they're young and they're dumb, and maybe there's certain things that you couldn't have told me when I was in my 20s.
Right.
But there's some people that I wouldn't wish cancer on them, but it's like they were wishing death and horrible things on other people who didn't get vaccinated, and now they're
Exactly.
dying, and now
Now
they're
they got it.
suffering.
That
So
that
it's like, you
what
be
you
careful
saw.
what you wish for, because I didn't do that. Like, they
No.
kind of brought that on themselves.
No. I didn't do one test. I didn't do
Yeah, me neither.
I didn't I think let's see, only on the airplane coming from Arabia to the US. They said we had to wear a diaper. So what I did is I put one on, and then I took the blankets that you use when you sleep. I put the blanket over my head and took my diaper off. and
Yeah.
slept like that for my 12 hours.
Yeah, it's good for you. That it's like it was also kind of like a ritual, you know, like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and it's funny though too, because I think you also wrote this down, and I commented on this. I'm never gonna get through all the comments I made in your book. It was like
We can do a part two, you know.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but what was I gonna say? You said that most people believe that they're destined to die of some form of disease. And
Hmm.
I used to think that. And I remember
Hmm.
my neighbor years ago who was in her 80s, maybe she died of natural causes. Now she could have died of something, but she didn't have cancer.
Right,
And I
right,
remember being like 8 and being confused. It's like
right.
she died and she didn't get cancer, or she didn't. So in my
Hmm.
mind, I thought you either got cancer or you died like in a car accident or something like that. Either you died before your time tragically in an accident, or you got cancer. I thought those are the
Hmm.
only two ways that
Hmm.
you died.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you'll get it a lot from people who maybe are envy of you. You'll say, "Oh, I'm fasting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that," and they'll say, "Oh, you got to die of something." So my
Mm,
response always to that is, "Oh, okay. Well, then why don't you take a 9 millimeter and blow your brains out then? If you can just die of anything."
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's the quality of life, though.
right, right.
You know,
Right.
and we're not made, this 40-hour work week, like that's the lie. We're being bred to be slaves, and that's not
Oh
who we
yeah.
are as human beings.
Oh yeah. I went to Spain and they take the whole 12 to 5 o'clock off. They don't do no it was sleep.
12 to 5. Oh yeah, siesta. Siesta, yeah, the siesta.
Yeah, they work, maybe 4 hours a day. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's and then in Japan, it's different.
Yeah.
They have this whole what do they call it? Koroshi, where you die of people are dying of working too much, the other
Oh,
extreme.
wow.
So it's called literally, I think, work death.
I saw that in Korea.
Oh yeah, I heard Korea is
Oh my
is
God.
terrible. And the
They're
businessmen, right?
oh
Well,
my
just yeah,
alcoholics just to stay
yeah.
awake and
Yeah, my friends, I lived in Taiwan for 2 years. So I had
mm,
when I was there, I would talk to other teachers because I thought about going to Korea maybe after Taiwan at the time. And
okay. Yeah, I
I
lived there two
didn't, but
years.
huh?
So, yeah, I lived there 2 years.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's man, but I would hear these stories about just businessmen just would drink to the point where they're in the
Right.
snow
And
and
I
they'll just
mean,
pass out in the street and just be on the street. And it's
on the
like,
street, they be laid out, always
yeah.
then they start beating on their family and it's crazy.
Oh man, yeah, just it's terrible. I don't think I
Yeah.
could
And the kids are basically like they're traumatized and all through education because everything's memorization.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
and they stay up all night
Yes.
memorizing. It's
Oh, and they
crazy.
have this test. They have a
Yeah,
test
yeah.
that they have to take that basically determines your place in society, like
Yep,
more critical than the SAT.
yep.
And this is what I was told. So I don't know. So if I'm getting this wrong, don't be offended, anybody. You can correct me in the comments. But a lot of people that if they get a good score on this test, the parents reward them with plastic surgery.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I
Isn't
wouldn't doubt
that
it. I wouldn't doubt
yeah.
it. 'Cause some of the
It's
men, some of the guys I know, sometimes I thought they were females. Back
yeah. I mean,
then, that was in the 90s.
but it's just, I mean, I think the one good thing that has come of a corona is the fact that we are, it is starting to wake people up to the allopathic industry. I mean, more and people are listening to they're more open to hear what the anti-vaxxers say. And I don't
Right,
I don't mind being called an anti-vaxxer. It's never
right.
I've never
Well,
been
it's an
huh?
honor. That's an
Yeah,
honor.
it's an honor. I have my friend Danielle. She's like, that word makes me feel strong because I know what I stand for. But there are people that are like, well, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm like, get over it. Like, you're scared people are gonna call you names.
Right.
So what?
Right.
Against vaccines, against vaccines, something
Exactly.
poison that's trying to kill you. Aren't you against poison? I think everybody should be against poison.
Exactly.
I know people like the word ex-vaxxer, which I can respect that too, because they want to
Uh-huh.
they want to make it known that they did believe it at one point and then they don't anymore
Right.
because
Right.
they were injured by it. And it's just
It's like
it's kind
Robert
of
F. Kennedy, you know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
oh, go
He's
on.
he was anti-COVID, but he's pro-vaccine.
Oh, he's still pro-vaccine?
Oh yes.
Still?
Oh yes. Oh yes. 100%.
So he wants to make it safer?
There you go.
Oh, that's ridiculous. But you know what? I
He
believe
was
that.
injured by it. That's why his voice is like that for
Did
vaccine.
he say that? Because I've always, or it's been assumed. Because I've wondered that because
Yeah.
he didn't sound like that when he was younger.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah,
vaccine.
all these autoimmune diseases. Well, like I said, it's a religion, and there are
Yeah.
people that they're gonna die off. They like if you're like, hey, maybe we can help you with this long COVID. Don't
Yeah.
get vaccinated. Take
Right.
some heavy metal detoxifiers. Do
Right.
some, breaking
Right.
up of these clots with
Right.
nattokinase,
Now,
turmeric, and
Canese,
bromelain.
NAC, all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they'll just be like, "No, I'm gonna go to the doctor and get 15 rounds in chemo." And
Oh,
big
God.
surprise. But that's the thing. Like, even though people, it's so weird, Scott, because or Dr. Whittaker, because people are waking up to the fact that the COVID vaccine was a lie, but they still have faith in allopathic industry.
Do that
And
face.
they're looking for the same doctor that injured him, the same medical system that injured him to help them. And I
Crazy, huh?
yeah, I don't know. Though I also try and be humbled because a lot of my friends, I've been doing this work since I would say I was researching since 2010, and then I started the podcast in 2012. So I've had at least 14 years to wake up. And I did in stages. And there was a time where I thought that maybe vaccines can be made safer because I thought it was just the mercury.
Mhm.
And I thought that maybe they can switch that out. But then once you start deconstructing what's in a vaccine, what's it for? Oh, we don't really need them. Oh, we can just have
Right.
vitamins, minerals, and good food
Right. Right.
to be healthy. Wow, human beings have been on this earth for hundreds of thousands of years without vaccines, and we survived. But vaccines have been
Exactly.
around for 200 years. When you
Yeah.
start putting that together, you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
It's a hoax
That's it.
to make
That's
us
all it
sicker, to
is.
make us slaves, to break us
That's it.
down.
That's it.
We've been played. We've been played, y'all.
It's a medicine.
Medicine. Medicine.
Mhm.
I'm still gonna rank. My notes are kind of small.
Yeah. I probably gonna have
But
to
huh?
I'm probably
You,
gonna have to
you have to go soon?
with the exit here in a little bit.
Okay, let me just see. What else do I
So
gotta talk
we can
about?
set up a part two. Because
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
I know we veered off into COVID, but we gotta go to the stuff that's really knocking us out,
Okay,
which
so what do you want to talk about? Talk.
diabetes, heart disease,
Let's do
and
it.
cancer.
Let's do it. Go for it. Talk about it.
Oh well, I mean, we need at least 2 hours on those.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I will definitely be glad to bring you back. I just wanted to know though really fast if if you are you still practicing? Are you treating people that have
Mhm.
had COVID vaccine injuries? Have you been successful with that?
Oh
If you
yeah, yeah. We help people who got jabbed and you know putting them on NAC, nattokinase, um, what's the other one? Quercetin, activated charcoal. Those are the big four I use. And then, of course, we tell them don't get boosted, don't get flu shots, and it
do
just
you tell them to stay away from people that have had the vaccine because of the shedding could like reverse could
not too much because I don't want that that fear factor to be there when they start
Yeah.
trying to avoid, and like they had us with the
Yeah.
6, 10, 8, 15 feet. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just try to get those nutrients in the system and go from there.
How about magnesium glycate? Because
Oh,
because I remember I made a note. We were
magnesium.
talking, huh?
Magnesium's the bomb.
Just magnesium. I know. So my friend did some research. Her son got vaccinated and he was having heart problems, even though the doctors weren't able to find anything wrong with him. He was having heart pains, and she had him to take some magnesium glycate, and that helped him.
Oh
Has
yeah.
been helping him thus far.
Oh yeah.
So
Any heart issue is a magnesium issue. Any sugar issue, diabetes is a chromium issue. And any blood cancer or any types of growths, tumors is a selenium issue. So, like I said, it always goes back to the minerals. You know, people drink a lot of echinacea. Why? Because echinacea is high in zinc.
oh wow, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
I know
zinc.
now. I know
See,
today.
and
Yeah.
so it's always the minerals. That's basically what the herbs are. It's just your plants, your flowers, your bark contains minerals, and so you boil them. The minerals go into the water. You drink it. That's basically what it is with flavor.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah, I mean a lot of these solutions are cheap, and I think people also have been brainwashed with this idea of if you have a horrible disease, then it needs like a very harsh cure.
Right. Right. And it doesn't.
Like it doesn't.
Be something
It's the
real
opposite.
simple. Real
Yeah.
simple. Sometimes you'd be like, wow. Just like salt. Salt got demonized.
Yeah. Salt and cholesterol.
Yeah.
Now that they just basically
Mhm.
flip the
Yeah.
food pyramid upside down.
Right. Salt is an amazing healer. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to go to Jordan. So I swam in the Dead Sea, which is all saline. And my skin came out like gold when I was done. Any little blemish or mark I had on there, maybe from a sore or old scab or
Oh
whatever,
wow.
it was gone. It
So
was
you
gone.
can't drown, right? Because
Cannot
the
drown.
water's the
I was floating in the water. Way, I was way out there. You couldn't even see me. And
wow.
just relaxing.
So nothing lives there.
Nothing. Total dead.
This is why they call it the Dead Sea, duh.
That traces back. It traces back to your spiritual when uh, Prophet Lot in that time, and they were doing the stuff they're doing today with the male on male and female on female, and so the area was destroyed, and that's today. You can see it. Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So all that stuff's over there. They even went to the area where they baptized Jesus. So, all that stuff's over there. But yeah, so I was saying salt. Like there's this place here called haliotherapy, and they got salt rooms, and you go in there, and it's just a big old room with salt, and you just sit in there and just inhale it, and any respiratory problems you got, gone.
You know,
Just by inhaling salt.
I've heard that, and my
Mhm.
friend actually got me a certificate for my birthday a few years ago when I was in Austin.
Mm.
But it was right around COVID, and I don't think they closed at the time, so I never got to do it. But I was thinking about trying that eventually because I've
Do
heard
it.
really good things for asthma
Do it.
and allergies.
Oh,
It's
for you
awesome.
it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You and that, and get you some lobelia and mullein, the two herbs, lobelia and mullein.
Expectorants.
Yeah, the expectorants and
So it helps get the mucus out, right?
the lobelia actually relaxes your bronchioles. They call it Indian tobacco, and
Okay.
yeah, it actually stops asthma attacks.
Do you smoke it or do you use the
Use
liquid?
the tincture.
Okay.
Yeah, do that, and yeah, you'll be straight.
Yeah, I'm working off of getting off of my inhaler right now. So that's my
Yeah,
other.
that's good. That's that steroid messing up your liver.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm doing a lot of liver detox right now too.
yeah, yeah.
So, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight. I appreciate it. You said you were willing to come back on, and I
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, 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 yeah. We got to because we got a lot of things we didn't even. We just touched on with 1%. So
Okay. Well, you know
yeah,
what? Tell people where. Do you have a website where they can find
yeah.
you?
Medicines.net.
Would you spell that out? And I'll just
medisins.net. Medisins.
medicines.net.
Medicines.net.
Okay. And your book is there. Are you working on any other books at the moment? This
I'm
is
trying to
a
work on book 2 right now.
book two
But
of medicine.
yeah, book 2 medicine. Because
Oh, wow.
originally it was 800 pages, and I chopped it to 400. So that
Yeah.
400 that I didn't use, I'm about to put it into play now.
It's a good read. It's you guys, it's really good. And I wanted to recommend something for you. Have you seen this docu series called Cult of the Medics?
Cult of the Medics. Man, that sounds familiar, but I don't think I
It's
have.
it's not he says I interviewed the creator. His name is David Whitehead. He has 12 parts planned. They're about 10, he has 10 series or 10 episodes. There's really 10 episodes up at the moment.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. I think it's up your alley, and it kind of it talks about this stuff, but it goes also into the occult aspects and the ties to it. And I
Okay.
think people that really are ready, if you want to go down a long rabbit hole, but it will help you it will make a lot of sense to you guys. You need to
man.
check out this docu-series, and it's absolutely free. You can make a donation to the guy, David, or you can also buy, he has clothes and stuff if you want to help, but if it's free, it's good content. You don't
Right.
have to
Right.
pay to see it. Then it's really good educational
Okay.
source. Yeah.
Cult of the Medics.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I have your email.
Okay.
I'll send it to you, and I'll put it in the links.
I'm
I'll
supposed
put
to
in
send you
links.
something too, wasn't it? I was supposed to send you.
Where to get beef bacon?
There you go. I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. No
All
problem.
right. Okay.
All right. So see, we got South Central going on right here.
Yeah,
So
we just. I don't know if this was recorded.
Yeah.
I don't think I got that part. I think we talked about before I start recording, but just to let our viewers know, we both found out we're from South Central LA.
South Central, Hoover,
Yeah.
West Side.
West Side, Adams, and
107.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Adams. I was on between Vermont and Figueroa, that little chunk on
That's right.
Adams
That's
and
right.
Exposition.
That's right where Sam Cooke was killed.
Oh, what?
Sam Cooke was killed on Figueroa in 74th, right there at that hotel.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he was awake. He was trying to fight for
he was kicking it with Malcolm and
yeah.
Ali. So his mind was
But he was fighting for his music rights.
Yeah, that's what it is. Any singer we see that gets killed is because of his copyrights that he wants back.
He doesn't want to be a slave anymore, So
that's
he figured out.
Prince put it on his face.
Yeah.
Slave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, nice talking to you guys.
Yes.
So he said he's gonna come back for part 2. So we will.
Oh yeah. We're coming back with some heat.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Until next time, you guys. Peaches and love, guys. Bye bye. Mwah. Shenanigans? But don't despair, because Truth or Talk is here to equip you with the empowering information you need to regain control of your life. Our mission is to provide you with thought-provoking and humorous commentary on issues that matter the most. We have no sacred cow to defend, nor corporate doctrines to promote. Since 2012, Truth or Talk has produced over 100 podcasts featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in independent media, activism, and truth-seeking. Despite being deplatformed and shadow banned from several social media channels in 2022, we are committed to rebuilding. However, we need your support to help keep the truth flowing. You can show your appreciation by purchasing our t-shirts, making a donation, or becoming an ongoing subscriber to our exclusive member section. With your help, we can keep exposing lies, shedding light on the truth, and providing you with the compelling information you need to take back your freedom, sanity, and break free from the shackles of control. But that's not all. You can also help spread the word by sharing our content on social media with your friends and family. Our collective efforts can prevent them from achieving their goal. Show your support for Truth or Talk today and take back control of your life. Trust us, you won't regret it. Thank you. Until next time, peace, truth,